Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a really hard look at what it actually takes to build an empire from the ground up. And we're getting this straight from the battle-tested playbook of Shark Tank investor Robert Herjavec. We're stripping away the glamour, the get-rich-quick fantasies, the highlight reels, and we're zeroing in on the blunt, sometimes really uncomfortable realities of starting, scaling, and actually leading a massive business. So if you've ever wondered how billionaires really think when their backs are completely against the wall, well, you're in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for tracing the true life cycle of a business. We're going to hit the reality of starting up, finding your true value, red flags and real failure, navigating chaos and scale, and finally, the billionaire leadership mindset.
All right, part one, the reality of starting up, or as I like to call it, shattering the easy money illusion.
So, because of his time on Shark Tank, Herjavec is constantly getting cornered at dinner parties by people pitching endless ideas. Just recently, someone walked up to him and asked, "What's the best business to start for easy money in little time?" Now, I want to pose that to you. How often do we all look for that exact shortcut, right? We want the massive reward without the massive sacrifice. But when someone asks a self-made billionaire for the secret to an easy, hands-off business, well, his answer is incredibly blunt.
He literally just tells them, don't get into business. It's a harsh truth, but I absolutely love how straightforward this is. He warns that even the businesses you think are going to be a total breeze, completely hands-off, they're going to suck your time, and they are definitely going to suck your cash. Business is just plain hard, and it takes years, many, many years, before anything about it even starts to feel easy.
And this reality completely shatters that modern myth we hear all the time about early work-life balance. People look at highly successful entrepreneurs attending their kids' school plays and just assume, oh, that's how it is from day one. But Herjavec points out that a new business is literally a living, breathing thing. When it needs to eat, you have to feed it. It doesn't care that you have a school play. It doesn't care that you really want to hit the gym. At the very beginning, that balance, it just doesn't exist, period.
And hey, looking for an easy way out doesn't just apply to your time. It totally applies to money too, which brings us to a very specific number, $2,500. This actually represents Herjavec's biggest early financial mistake. Back in his 20s, he got a hot stock tip from his godfather, who promised it was a guaranteed rocket ship. Herjavec openly admits he knew absolutely nothing about the stock market, nothing about the industry, or even what the company did.
He didn't see a business at all. He just saw easy money. So he took that $2,500 and, get this, half of it he put on a credit card and bought the stock on margin. Well, predictably, the company completely folded. The stock crashed to $200. And because he bought it on margin with borrowed cash he didn't actually have, he suffered the ultimate crushing embarrassment of having to go beg his parents for money just to pay off the debt. The lesson here is absolutely profound and totally unforgiving. Never chase easy money on margin. It simply doesn't exist.
Moving on to part two, finding your true value. And spoiler alert, it's not about you. So once you finally accept the grueling, everyday grind of starting up, you actually have to figure out what it is you're selling. Think about that famous interview question, right? Sell me this pen. Now the amateur just starts listing off the features. It writes smoothly, the ink is blue, it's got a nice grip. But the pro? The pro knows the real answer. They say, before I sell you this pen, tell me who I am selling it to. Your value isn't seen through your own eyes. It is exclusively determined through the eyes of the customer.
So how do you actually know when you found that true value? It's not necessarily about hitting these massive earth-shattering sales numbers right out of the gate. Early validation is really about finding what Herjavec calls the fanatical customer experience. It's that magical moment when you finally put your product in a customer's hands and they look at it and say, I literally cannot live without this. That level of intense, visceral engagement, that is the ultimate proof that you are onto something incredibly real.
Of course, to get that product into people's hands, you actually have to sell, which, let's be honest, absolutely terrifies a lot of technical founders. Herjavec shares this amazing story about a young employee who was incredibly nervous and just awful at sales. I mean, visibly shaking, sweating, dreading picking up the phone. So Herjavec gave him 3 super simple steps for his first big in-person meeting. He told him, first, walk in and openly acknowledge you're nervous. Second, admit it's your very first sales call. And third, just explain straight from the heart why you believe in the product. And guess what? The customer completely melted. They loved the honesty and genuinely wanted to help the guy succeed. Pure authenticity is just impossible to replicate, and people actually want to help you when you're starting out. Just, maybe don't use that exact line on your 100th sales call.
All right, on to part 3, red flags and real failure. We're looking at this from the Shark Tank perspective.
First up, we really need to call out a bizarre modern myth. Herjavec was actually talking to an HR vice president once who claimed she loved hiring people with massive past failures because, it made them stronger and better. Well, Herjavec called this complete nonsense, or to use his exact word, bullshit. He doesn't want entrepreneurs who have run a business straight into the ground and gone completely bankrupt. No way. He wants founders who make constant adaptation and small pivots so that big failure never even happens in the first place.
So when he's looking to invest, there are 3 massive red flags that will instantly kill a deal. Number 1, a total failure history. Like they completely gave up and lost absolutely everything. Number 2, an entrepreneur who isn't mentally solid. Because, let's face it, a small business in deep trouble usually points to a founder dealing with deep personal problems. And number 3, not knowing your daily heartbeat numbers. You can't just know the quarterly balance sheet. If he wakes you up at 2 in the morning, you better know the 1 or 2 vital, real-time stats that are keeping your specific business breathing. Now, to survive without hitting those red flags, you need true motivation. And I absolutely love his definition of this. Look, it's super easy to be motivated when you're winning, hitting your targets, everyone's cheering for you, right? But true motivation? That is getting out of bed and doing what needs to be done on the days when it's raining, your dog just bit you, your friends are mad at you, your spouse is annoyed, and you just feel like a total failure in every single bone in your body. Motivation is that relentless ability to go from failure to failure without losing a single drop of enthusiasm.
Part 4, navigating chaos and scale. It's time to embrace the mess. Okay, let's say you found your value, you've avoided those red flags, and the company is finally taking off. There's this really persistent myth that growth can be perfectly clean, repetitive, and sanitized. But Herjavec has seen it all, from a 2-person shop making 200 grand a year to 1,000-person mega corporations pulling in $1 billion. His big takeaway? Chaos is completely guaranteed. If you are growing, there's going to be a significant amount of chaos. You just have to accept it, embrace the mess, but make absolutely sure the foundation doesn't completely crack underneath you while you do.
So how do you actually manage that chaos personally? Well, here is an incredible productivity hack he learned when he was just drowning in distractions. Every single morning, you don't write down 10 things or 20 things. You write down exactly 3 vital things. And then you do not go to sleep until those 3 things are done. It ensures constant forward momentum. Seriously, I challenge you to try this exact framework tomorrow morning. Cut through all the noise, pick your 3, and do not hit the pillow until they are completely finished.
And hey, as you scale, your communication has to scale with you. During a really tense Shark Tank pitch, an entrepreneur got incredibly frustrated and told Herjavec, "You're not listening to what we're saying." Now, Herjavec, who openly admits he was a little hangry at the time, fired back with a totally profound truth. He said, "It is not my responsibility to listen to you, it's your responsibility to be heard." The biggest personal investment you can possibly make is in clear communication. Because if you can't get your ideas across, honestly, the best product in the world isn't going to save you.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, the Billionaire Leadership Mindset, Leading Through Pressure. So what happens when you actually reach the top? How do you handle that immense, crushing pressure? People often think success is like this magic door, and once you walk through it, all your problems just vanish into some world of unicorns and puppy dogs. But that is a total illusion. Great wealth and scale, they just amplify exactly who you already are, and they make your problems significantly bigger. As tennis legend Martina Navratilova says, pressure is a privilege of success. You are never going to outrun the pressure, you just have to learn how to lead right through the middle of it. And when that intense pressure really starts building, Herjavec uses a very specific 3-part framework for making crucial decisions. First, he trusts his gut. That knee-jerk reaction, the one based on years and years of experience, is usually the right one. Second, he avoids massive bet-the-farm risks. Like, never make a single decision that could outright kill your business if it goes south. And third, for the truly monumental choices, you have to get away from the data, step back, and literally sleep on it to separate your raw emotions from the cold, hard facts. As you make these pivotal decisions, you obviously have to guide your team. Now, Herjavec has had dinner with presidents, prime ministers, and the top business minds on the planet. But he says the ultimate leadership secret is actually ancient. Teach with parables. People fundamentally want to be led. They don't want to be managed. And the absolute best way to lead them is by engaging them with a deeply compelling story. We're going to wrap up this explainer with a final, pretty provocative thought. When asked what he would do differently if he had to start all over,
Herjavec said he would dream bigger. He openly admits that his own lack of imagination really limited his capacity early on. A mind once expanded can never go back to its original size, right? So I'll leave you with this exact question. Are you expanding your mind to imagine a bigger life, or are you just chasing the easiest piece of cheese? Think about it. Thanks for learning with us today.